Hello?
My finger slipped because you weren't muted, and I thought that you were. I unmuted myself instead. Oh man, I was trying to share and then go back to it. Anyway, welcome to Ask a Life Coach live Q&A with Glenn Ambrose that we still haven't put a better name up for. Glenn, how are you today, man?
Good. Live from New York. It's
Nope.
Saturday night.
And now we're being sued. Thank you so much. This is the last episode of the show.
This isn't Saturday Night Live?
No.
All right. Well,
no, it
then
is
I'll
not.
do this. I'll read here. Live Q&A. All right, let's do that then.
Okay, awesome. So I have a question, and also I'd like to encourage everybody that if you have a question, please just type it in the comments below, and start where start by just telling us where you're watching from. That might be cool. And yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and Glenn will answer them. So our first question today comes from a listener of the podcast. And she said, I have a question for Glenn. I struggle. So it's something I struggle with. So here it goes. How do I take better care of myself? I'm great at taking care of others, but not myself.
Yeah, that's pretty common. It's nobody takes care of themselves because we're not taught to. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why we need to start breaking that cycle and start caring for ourselves. And as parents, I mean, a lot of times of course, there's situations where we need to put our kids first, but we need to learn how to take care of ourselves and give from the overflow. Because the reason we don't know how to take care of ourselves is because our parents didn't take care of themselves, and their parents didn't take care of themselves, because nobody knows how to do it. So, so we need to start breaking this cycle and really taking care of ourselves. Hey, Margie. So yeah, I mean, we have to, taking care of ourselves is like bringing in meditation, doing kind things for ourselves, taking time out of our lives to recharge our batteries. It's, my son learned at 3 or 4 years old that, to leave me alone when I was meditating. And I would put a sign on the door. It's like, and I would, set the timer on the microwave for 10 minutes. So he could check that. And, and he knew not to knock on the door and not to disturb me. And what he saw was like, sometimes I'd get upset by something and I'd go in my room, and then he'd see me come back out afterwards, calm. Go in upset, come out calm. Kids pick up on this stuff. So they start learning how to care for themselves. But it's, taking 5 or 10 minutes in the morning to center ourselves, meditate, relax, whatever, and then maybe doing it again later at night. Reading something that helps us see the world in a way that is going to direct us towards more happiness. Taking time for yourself is just so important. It doesn't really matter how, it's individual. Whatever you like, take time and do that, and when you do it, be like, okay, I'm going to sit down and read for an hour. And I'm doing this because I love myself. And this is an act of self-love. And take a moment to feel that and experience the stillness and the love that you feel inside, and then read for an hour. And then when you're done, you go, wow, I just finished doing that because I love myself. And then feel it. So that's how we start taking care of ourselves and start understanding that enabling others to not be responsible for their own lives is not a loving act. We're running around taking care of everybody else. Oh, I'm a good person. No, that's a martyr. That's the martyr mentality. And the martyr mentality is not healthy. It's just giving until our knuckles bleed. So this is part of the spiritual shift that we're in right now. We understand that we're supposed to be good people, and that's really important, and that we feel happiness and joy when we work on being a good person. We just don't really know what that looks like. So we run around giving to everybody and never taking care of ourselves in the name of trying to be a good person. And that's not a good person. That's a doormat. You know, so we need to take care of ourselves and then give from the overflow. If somebody asks to borrow $20 and you don't really have it, or if they don't pay you back, then you can't pay your bills and you give them the $20 anyway, that's called being irresponsible. That's not being a good person, because you're risking your own structures to try to take care of somebody else, and their life is their responsibility. So, you know, these are the types of things we have to gain clarity on. And, you know, I know that I did a blog and a podcast on this in detail too. So
Yeah,
go back in the archives.
I think it was literally the second show we ever did in 2014 was care for yourself to better care for others.
Probably because it's such a foundational piece. I know we did it early.
There are mosquitoes out here, and I don't like it.
Really? Outside?
Yes, that is my question. How do I get rid of mosquitoes?
Not telling. Go inside.
It's rude. So, okay, here's a second question. Every day I wake up and I know it's going to be the same as yesterday. I live alone, and when I spend time with my friends on Zoom, it gives me a lift and I feel good for a while. But every night I go to sleep alone and I know that I'm going to wake up and do it all over again the next day. And it takes away my motivation to make any change. How do I change this?
Oof. Flip-flop it, man. I mean, like right at the end, it said, what is it? Right at the end, it said, like, it takes away my motivation to change. Like, everything you said should be your motivation to change. Like, I don't know why it takes it away. I mean, everything you said should be a perfect motivation to change. I mean, really, it's, you know, I think this is a case of you have to act yourself into better thinking. You can't think yourself into better acting. You know, well, oftentimes when we're stuck in ruts, we just sit there and we go, oh, well, you know, like it's unconscious. So to put words in it makes it kind of sound ridiculous. But in our brain, it actually kind of makes sense. We sit there and we go, well, I should probably do some changes. And we go, yeah, but not today. It's not right. I don't, no. And maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Like, what's going to happen tomorrow? Like, suddenly there's going to, like, you're going to wake up and then all of a sudden the light bulb's going to go off and you're going to be like, hey, today's the day that I changed my life. Like, that doesn't happen. You know, an object at rest tends to stay at rest. So become an object in motion, because then it tends to stay in motion. So, you know, don't wait until it feels like the time is right or you think it's a good idea, because that day probably isn't going to happen. Just make the decision, you know, and do something. Like, our life is our responsibility. I mean, if you don't like the way your life is going, then you need to, pardon my French, you know, get off your ass and do something about it. Like, nobody's going to do it for you. Life doesn't automatically just get better, you know, by sitting around doing the same old things. If you're not satisfied with your life, then go do something with it. You know, go find what you enjoy. I mean, and it can be anything. Take a walk. You know, it doesn't, you don't have to change your life tomorrow. You need to start doing something tomorrow. You know, so I mean, I guess, you know, the feeling a lift, talking to friends on Zoom makes you feel a little bit better. But like, I think the important part is, like, you saw the loop. You know, well, I get up and it kind of sucks. And then I talk to my friends and then I feel a little bit better. and then I'm satisfied for a little while, and then I go to sleep, and then I wake up and it's the same thing. Okay, well, that's a loop. You saw it. And most of the things that keep us stuck is that when we can't see it. So the fact that you saw it is most of the work, so doing the same things over and over, expecting a different result, is insanity. So do something different, break the loop, break that. And it's, and understand that you're getting a lift from your friends. It's superficial. It doesn't last. It doesn't actually improve your life. So stop depending on it and start doing what does change your life. Start taking action, start following your joy, start following your bliss. What do you like to do? Do you like your job? If you don't have one, what would you like to do? If you do have one, do you want to continue that? Should you do something else? What do you like to do for hobbies? Like anything, movement. Non-movement equals depression, because that's not our norm. We're not supposed to be being still. We're supposed to be expanding, growing, doing, experiencing. That's the whole point of this world. That's why we're in an ever-changing reality, because we're supposed to be experiencing things and doing things and interacting with life. That's the whole point of it while we're here. We're not supposed to just stay and expect to be happy,
Right. So obviously, because we're still in the middle of this pandemic, and
some people are.
so, yeah. So if you're, but I mean, I think that could definitely add to that feeling of redundancy and and apathy, and feeling stuck.
Right. And I think
especially in the situation that was given. I mean, it sounds, I mean, specifically because it talked about Zoom calls and, being alone all the time. Like, that's not something that would necessarily be happening if it wasn't for this. More than likely, I mean, most people, I don't know that situation in particular, but like most people would go out more even if they were
right
by themselves. So how do you be more active if you're still forced to stay stuck for whatever reason?
So you have to start getting creative. I mean, I think that there's a reason for everything. Like in my life, I got some clarity that I'm going to start traveling. Well, I can't travel yet, so I have a choice. And I mean, I felt a little restless because I'm an action taker. So once I have clarity on my action, I want to go take it. And so, so I started feeling that uncomfortability of sitting still. And I was like, okay, well, like, why is this happening? I don't think, I think life happens for me, not to me. I'm not a victim of life. So if something is happening, it's for my benefit. So if I have clarity that I'm going to travel, and yeah, I can't travel, why? There must be something that I can be learning here, and I think that that's one of the biggest things that I think that that's why this pandemic is lasting so long, is because we suffer so well. We're so good at suffering, and we're so good at not changing, that this lasts longer and longer and longer to force us to change, to force us to do something different. If you're sitting there not doing anything and you go, I'm not happy not doing anything, then get creative, find something to do, like there's basically two things that you can do. You are not meant to be unhappy. That's not what's going on. So there is either something that you can find that you can take action on that you haven't found yet because you haven't been looking for it, or you haven't looked hard enough. So go find it. The other aspect of this is the being alone aspect. I mean, we think that our joy is outside of us. Well, I'll be happy when I can go here. I'll be happy when I can do this. I'll be happy when I can go hang with my friends. I'll be happy when I meet the right person. I'll be happy when I have the right job, when I have the right house, when I have the right car. No, you won't, because none of those things give you happiness. They can be expressions of your happiness if you're already happy, but if you're miserable and you get all those things, you're still going to be miserable. So it's finding the happiness within. Learning to go within, connect to your source, learning to do the inner work to find out that you can be happy without all those external things. And then when you go experience those external things, they can be an expression of your happiness. So maybe that's why this person's being held still. They're being held still for a reason. And so is everybody else. There's something that every one of us that is being held still can gain from being held still. But we have to stop looking at it like a problem and start looking at it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn how to find happiness within yourself. So then when you go back out into the world, it can be an expression. Or it's an opportunity to find a new hobby, but you haven't been looking around because, I wrote something and posted this about like 2 months ago on Facebook about don't hold on and wait until this is over, because this is happening for a reason. And that's what we're good at. We're good at just hanging on and waiting till the bad times pass. And then we go back to the way things were, and which sucked anyway. And then, and that most people are not happy. They're not living their happiest life. So most people, 75% of society at least, should be working on themselves right now. They shouldn't be holding on and waiting until society gets back to the way it was, because it wasn't satisfactory then. Don't forget that. So this is an opportunity to really expand your life and make it something better than it was before. So
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Hopefully that answered the question for them. Kathy said, "Good evening, gentlemen." Good evening, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
All right. Kimberly has a question that blocks both of our faces. I am making some deliberate changes in my life. However, while I'm at work dealing with a very difficult person, she seems to put me backwards and snoop me back down to her level. I know I am allowing her to. How can I keep my center, my power in dealing with situations so I don't go down to that level?
Preach it, brother. Hey, what's up, Tim? Yeah, so really it's about anchoring into your own power, really standing in it and not allowing yourself to go back down. It's not taking the bait, because that bait is juicy, man. When I learned that big time. We have to be anchored in our own happiness and just not take the bait. We can't allow somebody else to determine our happiness. We can't allow somebody else to determine the type of person that we are. That's like when I get better at standing in my truth when I take it personally. Don't take anything personally in life. That's cool. But if you're really trying to anchor yourself into some energy where you really shift something, take it personally. Get pissed off. Anger, frustration, that has energy to it. So like when I started sitting there and I started understanding that, like when I caved and went in and started acting, when somebody got me to drop down into their level that they won, I was like, oh, hell no. No, man, no. So they're going to get me. I don't like who I am at that level. I don't like how I act. I don't like how I talk at that level. And they're more powerful. Their hate or their anger is more powerful than me. Like that, I'm going to let them bring me there. I'm like, no way. No, for me, I kind of like my foundation was recovery when I first came in. So like I mean, if anybody that's been through recovery, that's like, I mean, it controls every area of your life, you know, when to drink, how to drink, where to get the drink, how to plan for the drink when the stores are closed, you know, or the dealer or whatever. Like, I mean, it consumes you mentally and in a lot of ways physically. So like once alcohol didn't have control over me anymore and I felt that freedom, I was like, nothing is going to control me again. I love that freedom. And that was something that I anchored in. That's how I quit smoking, because I was, I moved up to Rhode Island and I go out in the freezing cold and smoke a cigarette. And I'm like, I literally don't have a choice whether I go stand in the cold or not. I don't have a choice. I don't have the freedom of choice. I have to get this nicotine into my system. That's BS. I don't like being controlled by something else, And once I felt the freedom from not being controlled by alcohol, it didn't feel right when anything controlled me. So that's another aspect that I leaned on to get the fortitude to not allow others to determine who I was as a person. I'm like, I'm not going to let them control me. I'm so done going there. Yeah. Well, that's it. Draw a line in the sand and then just don't. I think a lot of things kind of get to the point where, you've heard me say this before. I draw a line in the sand, man. I take myself to the tool shed and give myself a freaking talking to, and I drop F-bombs and I swear at myself and I get really serious about what I'm talking about, because it's the only way to fully grasp my consciousness and snap me out of it. And I get all the way down to the core and I go, okay, so in this situation, if I allow this person to control me, then I am not growing spiritually. So and I have the freedom of choice. At the end of the day, this is my choice. I can't blame this on somebody else. It's me. I'm choosing to go down that rabbit hole. So I have a choice here. Do I want to actually live spiritually or do I not? And, yeah, but it's hard. Yeah. So are you going to live spiritually or are you not? You have to stand in this if you're going to live spiritually. Well, yeah, but I don't know if I'm ready. Okay, then just go live the other way. And then I go the extreme the other way. I go, oh, okay, so maybe I'll start drinking again. I'll just start crapping on people and just being destructive and all that. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, well, you can, Glenn. Go ahead. Go. Well, no. Oh, okay. So you're saying that you want to live spiritually? Yes. Okay, then freaking do it. And when I start talking to myself like that and really giving myself what for and say, it's your choice, make it and do it. And when I really go at it with hardcore intensity and seriousness, then all of a sudden, I find that extra gear that I can really stand in something that much more firmly. But a lot of times, our subconscious rules us. So we have these fluctuating things, and unconsciously, the reason that we can't stand in things is unconsciously what's happening is we go, well, it's kind of their fault because they're a jerk. And yeah, but why do I always have to be the better person? And rah, rah, rah. And we have all these little subconscious beliefs that float around and prevent us from really drawing a line in the sand and standing in it. That's what's happening. That's why when you have these really serious talks with yourself and just just give yourself a talking to and really get serious with it and really drive it home, then all of a sudden you can overpower those little subconscious BS beliefs.
Absolutely. There's
and breathe.
Yeah, please breathe. Kimberly said thank you. Sandy said, awesome advice. I have a similar situation. By the way, hi, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
You know what I love is the community aspect of this, because Kathy posted something that really covers our faces. She said, every day on my way to work, I pray for joy in my heart and peace in my soul. I decide before I get to work that I'm going to have a great day. I deal with the public and different personalities, both coworkers and the public every day. I have to choose not to fall into the toxic trap. I agree wholeheartedly with Glenn. You choose not to let the negativity in. Smile. To me, it's the first step. Glenn was an awesome was my awesome personal trainer, and I wish he was still in Rhode Island.
Oh, thanks, Kathy. Yeah, and that's a lot of it, preparation and stuff, and kill them with kindness. You know what? What's really funny is when you really stand in stuff, like people are so expecting you to take the bait. This is kind of the backhanded end of it. It's like when you really stand in it and you see the confusion on their face when you're not taking the bait and the frustration on their face when they're not taking the bait. Dare I say that you you get a little backwards, like, you kind of get a little backwards satisfaction. You don't want to do it for those reasons. You want to do it because you're a good person and all that stuff. But to see somebody a lot of times that's what happens. And it kind of is like, they want that feedback. And when they're not getting it, it throws them. It really throws them. Which is wonderful.
All right. If nobody else has a question in the live chat, you can ask your questions and we will have Glenn answer them either next week, or you can sign up for the mailing list for Ask Glenn Anything, which is a email exclusive show that comes out every Thursday. I'm sorry, every Friday. I don't know what I'm doing. This is every Thursday. And he does a deep dive on one question from a listener. But before that, and if anybody has another question, you absolutely can ask it right now. We have time for that. Glenn, my question for you is, do we have, are we able to, I see that you're wearing short sleeves this week.
I knew that's where you were going too.
Are we able to expand on the,
we've been working together too long. I can read your mind.
Are we able to show off the new ink?
You can see some of it. There.
What are we looking at here?
This is a Hamsa hand. So they actually were originated in Judaism. So there's a Star of David in there. But lots of different religions use them. So that's that. And I've got, this is the mosque and the Islam. This backwards thing is so hard. So, and then I've got the Baha'i faith up here. And then I've got the Sikh faith over here. So, and then I'm getting Christianity somewhere, and Hinduism somewhere. So I may be getting those done. Hopefully I'm getting those done tomorrow. And then I have to get the background all filled in too. So there it is. It's a work in progress. It's getting there.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. All right. Glenn, let everybody know where they can find you if they want more Glenn Ambrose. And who doesn't, right?
Who doesn't want more Glenn Ambrose?
Who doesn't want more Glenn Ambrose?
The list is long. Yeah, go to glennambrose.com. That's where everything is. We've got that course. I was just poking around on there. We've got the course still available for the COVID stuff, helping deal with that. Yeah, there it is. With Gina, Dr. Gina and I did that. And then also we've, 170 podcasts that are out there that you can listen to everywhere. The blogs, everything's sign up for the email list, Ask Glenn Anything, and get the book, man. The book's really starting to take off a little more. So Down to Earth, A Spiritual Being's Guide to a Happy Human Experience. Go get that on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com. And yeah, all the information, everything is available at glennambrose.com. So go check it out. And thank you guys for watching, listening, participating. Thank you, Ben, for helping. And we will we'll talk with you later.